Awesome, guys. We'll welcome here to our Thursday night call here. We've been talking about Brad for a while, and I'm so excited to have him here with us. Brad, I don't have an official intro, so I'm just going to read a little bit from your website here. Brad understands the profound impact of unresolved childhood and family stress and programming on one's life. In his journey to help his son conquer extreme anxiety, Brad uncovered a hidden truth that he too carried deep-seated childhood programming that had silently ruled his life. I've had a lot of conversations with some of you guys recently around these topics. These unaddressed wounds led his subconscious mind to believe in a series of painful untruths, primarily that he was unworthy, resulting in a lack of self-love and self-compassion. I know some of us can connect with that. These untruths exacted a heavy toll on Brad's life, including two failed marriages, $9 million in business missteps. That's a lot. Kids with behavioral issues and the use of alcohol and marijuana as coping mechanisms. However, through a profound transformative process where he discovered awareness, ongoing use of the proprietary joy generator tool and neural reprogramming, Brad now lives a life full of joy and purpose. And one of the things that was awesome is I had Brad on the podcast a little over a month ago, and I didn't know about him, but he had actually worked with a great friend of mine and somebody that I truly love and have also interviewed multiple times, Ani Yacht, which I love just her entire frame on the world, and her ex-husband, Larry, as well. So, Brad, with all of that said, man, I'm going to pass it on to you. So excited to have you here tonight. The floor is yours, brothers. Take us away.
Thank you. Hello, gentlemen. I want this to be interactive. So I'm gonna have you take a quiz, a 3-minute self-love quiz here in a couple minutes. And then hopefully someone will be vulnerable and we'll work through an issue that you're going through. And I think my hope is that someone is going to leave this hour discussion with a newfound look on life. And I think hope. I think that you're going to see. I'm going to show you why any negative behavior that you have really was never your fault. Once you have awareness of it, and once I share my stuff, now it's your responsibility to go and heal it. But most of us, including myself for 47 years, had no idea that I was being controlled by these limiting beliefs. So knowledge is power, right? Understand the science to strengthen belief in desired outcomes. So I want this to be interactive, guys. If you want to stop at any point in time and ask me a question, just please stop. So why is what I'm talking about important? During COVID, they did an updated study. 86% of Americans identify as not being very happy. That's pretty sad, in my opinion. We got 100 million Americans on an anxiety drug or an antidepressant. 100 million Americans, guys. That is incredible, right? Western medicine loves to diagnose, label, and put you on a drug. And I can assure you that there's a small fraction. And when I say a small fraction, 1/100th or 1/1000th of a percent of those people really should be on a drug, because drugs only mask, just relieve the symptoms. They don't go to the root cause. And we're going to talk a lot about the root cause today. So I think it's worth just taking 2 minutes and 45 seconds out of this 60 minutes or 65 minutes, because I think you'll have a better appreciation, and I think you'll of the actual talk and what we do. So either scan this thing on the right, this beautiful heart, this AI generated heart, will take you to the same exact place, unlocklimitlessyou.com /quiz. And that's where I was going to play my beautiful, relaxing music. But I'm not going to do that now because you guys couldn't really hear it. So just go there right now. If you don't want to take it, you don't have to. Just do some deep breathing for the next 3 minutes. Just relax and enjoy the energy that we're putting into this virtual room. Anyone need a couple more seconds, or are we good?
I'm good.
All right. Ike, I had a grandfather named Ike, and he had held a special place in my heart. So welcome to the call. Love that name. Brings back fond memories.
Like 30 more seconds for me.
Okay. All right. Cool. And you'll get an email with your results immediately. If you don't get it, just check your junk folder. It's coming through. Let me know when you're good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, cool. So Frank touched on this a bit, but what was my life like for 47 years? 2 divorces, $9 million in business mistakes, the use of weed and alcohol. I smoked weed every night for a couple years, and my my lie I was telling myself was, "Oh, it helps me sleep," but yeah, it helped me go to sleep. But I had no idea it was destroying my REM sleep, which is a really important part of health and vitality and longevity and happiness. I also had kids with behavioral problems. Both of my kids had anxiety, and I was fairly healthy, but man, I'm the healthiest now I've ever been. So shit can change really, really quick, guys. I went to therapy for 30 years, and Frank mentioned that my story is in trying to get my son help for anxiety. That's the one in the USA shirt there. He's 6'5" and half inch. He had bad anxiety 3 years ago, and I got on the phone with Annie because a friend told me I had to speak with her. And within 5 minutes, she's like, "You have a tick," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You blink like crazy when you talk about your childhood. You may have some unresolved childhood trauma that's affecting your son." And I'm like, "No way. I've been a single dad. There's no chance." And she's like, "Well, do you want to come out and work with Larry and I for a weekend?" And at that point in time, I'm like, "I'll do anything to help my son." Because I tried everything, psychiatrist, therapist, drugs, nothing worked. And so I flew out there, and over the course of a weekend, actually in a 3-hour session with him, my life forever changed. And I came back home and I looked around at everyone who was suffering from addiction to depression to anxiety to obesity, you name it. And I was like, oh my gosh, their story is my story. And I think I can help them. So for the last 3 years, that's all I've been doing. I've been studying under some of the best people in the world, and I formulated something that literally in 3 to 5 hours, we've seen some massive, over 100 clients just have massive breakthroughs in 3 to 5 hours. So I went from that. I went from kind of, man, I didn't know my life was even that bad. You know, if you want to get out of prison, what's the first thing you got to do? You got to know you're in prison. I was one of the few people who didn't know I was in prison. I just blamed everything on, well, it was the ex-wives. It was who doesn't smoke weed, whose kids don't have anxiety. And it wasn't until I made the shift and the transformation that I looked back on that old life and thought, oh my gosh, wow, life is so much different for me right now. I'm in a relationship with that beautiful lady of 2 years. Never been in a better relationship. My health has never been better. My business runs without me, my fix and flip real estate business. I'm more active than I've ever been. Probably am active 5 hours a day. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm healthier than I've ever been. And I barely ever get mad. I'm literally happy all the time. I'm a happiness coach. I wear these shirts pretty much 6 days a week. This one happens to say, "Be addicted to self-love." So I'm just showing you that because I just want you guys to believe that there's nothing special about me, and there's nothing special about the 100 people I've helped. It's just a process. And once we get a little deeper, you'll understand this. So the first step to solving all of your problems, whether it be a bad marriage, bad relationship, lack of deep connection, you don't spend enough time with your kids, or your kids have behavioral or anxiety issues like mine, you have health issues, you're out of shape, you have autoimmune disease, issues or diseases, you're overstressed, depressed, have anxiety, you get angry a lot, you get short with people, you're negative, you talk negative to yourself, and you cope by eating, drinking, smoking, working, procrastinating, whatever it is you do to cope. The first step to solving all of these problems is to understand, or the last one, if there's general state of chaos in your home or business. So the first step is to realize it's not your fault. I already touched on that. It really isn't your fault, and you're going to understand why in a second. And that's not to mean that you shouldn't take responsibility for your actions, not at all. But your brain is doing something for a reason. The second thing to realize is that every problem in your life is a thinking problem. Change your thoughts and change your life. Who's heard that before? Change their thoughts, change their life.
Yeah.
Like you probably hear that. I'm not bashing Tony Robbins, because man, has he helped a lot of people. But you go to a Tony Robbins seminar and you get all rah-rah for 3 days, and you come home, and like you get home on Sunday, and on Tuesday or Wednesday, you're like drinking again or doing whatever you're doing. You're like, what the hell? Did anything really change? Because it's hard to change your thoughts without knowing what I'm about to tell you. So we're going to go over that. So here's the well, I'm going to drop a lot of good stuff, but here's something that this is where you want to, if you're looking at something else, you want to put it down. You want to listen to this. So here is the reason that every human being in the world cannot stop a negative behavior. They've tried and they've tried and they've tried. It's because your subconscious mind believes the problem you have is a solution to something that it perceives is much worse. I'm going to read that again. Your subconscious mind believes the problem, the negative thing that you've tried so hard to stop, eating, drinking, watching porn, getting pissed off, depressed, anxiety. Your brain thinks it's a solution to something that it perceives is worse. So I'm thinking if I want to tell you and then come back to this. So yeah, let me give you a couple examples, because I want to make sure that you're with me when I do this exercise. I'm going to ask someone if they'll walk me through, if they're willing to, if there's something that they're dealing with that that they've had a hard time in their life stopping, and we'll walk through it. But let me give you a few examples. I'm afraid to walk on stage, and when I walk up to that stage, or I think about going on that stage, I have a visceral reaction. My body starts to feel flushed. I feel a tightness in my chest. I get sweaty. My face turns red. Has anyone ever experienced that when they go to speak on stage or get in front of a classroom? Anyone know what I'm talking about? Anxiety with public speaking?
Used to long time ago.
Yeah. So that's something negative. Most people don't want that. They don't want to have anxiety, or put making a phone call to, a customer of yours, a high profile customer, if you're in sales, or something that could cause anxiety. So we'll just use the stage one. So my body literally is like, you can't go there. So the anxiety is a negative thing, but what am I believing here? What's the underlying untruth that's driving this negative behavior? It's that if I get up on stage and I mess up, and someone will make fun of me, just like my dad did. And at 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, when my dad would make fun of me, our brains have been around, our human brains, for 6 million years. We've only not lived in tribes like this much of the 6 million years we've been around. So if your dad is making fun of you, what do you think that primitive brain is thinking? Holy shit, he doesn't like me. I may get kicked out of the tribe. What would happen 500 years ago when you got kicked out of a tribe?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could die, right? You could, you don't have that community to support you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're likely to die. Let's go a little further. You're likely to die. So all of this stuff is wrapped up in a survival. It's our 6 million year old brain saying, no, we got to keep doing this negative thing. We've got to be nervous, because if I get on that stage and someone makes fun of me, that's just like when my dad made fun of me. So that's one of 1,000. You're 5 years old and your mom won't give you a cookie and you tell her you hate her. She has trauma from her past, so she cries for 2 hours. Dad comes home, he hits you with the belt and he says, don't you ever make mommy feel like that again. So what does your 6-year-old brain say? Your 6-year-old brain says, oh shit, they're the ones who feed me. I just pissed them off. So if I am my authentic self, they'll withdraw their love and may kick me out of the tribe. So then we're never our authentic selves. Like I couldn't be my authentic self. So I masked it with weed and alcohol and all kinds of other things, trying to make a freaking $1 million, trying to be the first agent team to ever sell $1 billion in 1 year. That was one of my $9 million worth of mistakes. So does that make sense, guys, that every negative behavior has this underlying untruth, this underlying thought? The beautiful thing is it is always in an untruth, and it's an untruth that was formed through childhood to get you through a tough time. Just like when mom said, I hate you, or when you told mommy that you hated her and she cried for 2 hours, your thought is, the untruth is, if I am authentic, people won't love me and I'll die. I'll get kicked out of the tribe. So what do? We show the brain that this thought is an untruth. And guess what? Your brain is so freaking advanced. It's incredible. When you show it the actual truth, bing, 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 a mismatch detector goes off. You literally rewrite the neural program. It's like going into an Excel spreadsheet and deleting cell A5 that has a 6 in it and putting an 8. That's what you're doing. You can literally rewrite the neural pathway of your brain. When you rewrite the neural pathway of your brain, what do you think happens to the negative behavior?
Start to diminish.
It goes away and stays away forever because it's got nothing feeding it anymore. Guys, this stuff is known and taught by probably 0.5% of psychologists, life coaches, psychiatrists, doctors. Like, they just don't know it. And why don't they know it? They just realized this 20 years ago, because when Freud, from when Freud died to 100 years after that, which was about 2000, they believed that thought, when I told my mom I hated her at 5 years old, that if I'm my authentic self, someone would withdraw their love. They thought that was brandished in your brain and that you could never rewrite that neural pathway. It wasn't until 20 years ago that they realized this. So you're like, 20 years is a long time. So they're probably teaching this in schools now. No, they're not. They're not at all. So this is the thing called memory reconsolidation. We've had it for millions of years. It's our mind's ability to rewrite programming to do what? Guess what? Stay alive.
Yeah.
Stay alive. I go to the creek, an alligator is there, so I can't drink the water, but then the alligator vanishes 3 years. So you got to update the programming. Okay, now I can go. Now I can go to the creek and drink the water to survive. So it's a survival thing. So this is where it gets interactive, guys. Actually, if anyone is like, dude, this guy's making no sense, I have a question, please just raise your hand and be like, this makes no sense, or, oh my God, this makes perfect sense, and now I understand.
This makes all the sense to me. I can massively identify through my relationships, particularly with my mother from a very young age, that I cannot be my authentic self. Like I won't go into too much detail here. But yeah, like something, my mom's a narcissist. If I ever pissed her off, I had to tell her that I was sorry and I had to admit that I was wrong. And she has never admitted any wrong in herself. And so, yeah, from a very young age, I identified that I could I cannot tell someone that I love that I'm upset with them, because if I do, they'll withdraw their love, and that absolutely passed into my relationship with my wife, and it's something that I've been working on for over a decade, and I still struggle. I still struggle telling my wife I'm upset with her.
Yeah. So let's yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sorry you went through that as a child, but as you do the work, and if you decide to move forward and work more on this stuff, it's going to become a superpower and you're going to be able to help other people. So I believe everything happens for us for a reason. So it was hell for a long time, but the other side's going to be heaven for you. Thank you for sharing that, Chris. Jason, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like I resonate with what Chris said, but I just have probably far less of an acute sense of where it comes from, you know? Like I can identify some of the effects of these problems, but you know, where do you start to dive in or find like where these problems are truly stemming from? Because I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I feel like the years of weed and porn have like wiped my memory. You know, it's like I have these problems, but I don't know where they're coming from. I've been treating them for years, and I don't even remember what the core problem is anymore. So, I mean,
Yeah.
how do you dig that deep to
Yeah.
remember something? You know, do I need to go to like some crazy like hypnotherapy or something, or like what? You know, what do I
Those
need?
cra those crazy hypnotists, I'm one of them. That's what we do. So
Oh no.
your subconscious mind never forgets anything. And I'm not the guy who does the watch and the whole stage stuff. That's really all hypnosis is. You're in hypnosis. You spent most of your life, by the way, from age 0 to about 7 in a hypnotic state. That's unfortunately where all the stuff like happened to Chris. And that's why it's emblazoned in our brain. But when you're driving to work and you're not thinking about pushing the gas pedal or taking a right on Main Street and then a left on Elm Street, you're in a hypnotic state. When you're washing yourself in the shower, you're not grabbing the soap and being like, okay, I've got to wash my left armpit. You're in a hypnotic state. That's just when you are in a, you've blocked out everything else and your subconscious is just running for you. Jason, your subconscious mind never forgets anything. It may not be able to recall it, but it never forgets it. And it actually starts to form in the 3rd trimester in your mother's womb. People have literally remembered shit from the 3rd trimester. So it's just about accessing your subconscious mind. That's it. So who would like to, Jason, Chris, anyone can speak up. I want to just do this little exercise with you guys, and you can take a picture of this and you can do this on your own down the road. If you don't get a chance to do it tonight, you can also do it along with us as we're doing it. So I don't know if I can, sorry, let me see if I can type in here. Yeah, let's do this. So is there someone who would go through this with me? This isn't about, we're not going to go to like, we're not going to go to the deeps of, you know, oh, this mommy spanked me or something. We're just going to talk through some issues and what would the issue be like with what would your life be like without the challenge? Does anyone want to?
I'm keen, but I'm also pretty willful, and so I'm happy for you to choose someone else. But I'm keen to do it.
Okay. Well, I think you raised your hand first, so let's see what we can do. And I'm not promising like any major
Yeah,
breakthroughs,
of course.
but guys don't. But at least we'll start something that you guys will start to see. And I'm going to share mine with you.
Yeah.
One of the issues I struggle with and still kind of struggle with around money. So, what's the challenge? What's the negative behavior in your life that you would like to get rid of?
So I'm going to do one which I think everyone here is going to resonate with, which is watching porn.
Okay. I knew you guys were going to throw that at me, and I was like, "This is going to be
That's why we're here. That's the
this is
whole
going to be
part of the reason why we're
I
here.
don't
a
know.
fun."
I don't know if you know what group you just joined, but you know.
Yeah.
No, I do. I knew I was like, "Oh, this gonna be a challenging one," but we'll work through it. So watching porn. So I should probably put that at the top. So what would happen without the challenge? What would happen? I want you to put yourself in the state of whatever time it is that you normally do it, and I want you to
Yeah.
ask yourself, give me some things. What would it be like if you went to do it, but you didn't do it?
So here's the really hard stuff because it feels like it's so, I don't know, repressed, or I don't know what the hell was going on. So yeah, so the question is like, what would happen if I didn't do it?
Yeah, you literally put yourself in that, feel what you're feeling as you're getting ready to do it. You're whatever, pulling out your
Yeah.
phone, whatever you're doing, and all of a sudden you just stop and you're like, okay, I'm not going to do it. What would that be like for you?
It's so hard to even connect that with that because when it happens, I have this hugely powerful voice, or it feels powerful inside me that basically I don't even feel the feeling. Like I can feel the prerequisites to it. Like I'll feel often what happens is I'll have a thought. And there'll be something that comes before the thought, but often I don't even feel that. I just have the thoughts, and the thought is I could watch porn. I could do this. I might imagine a scene. There's some thought process that essentially is drawing me to watch pornography, and it's a really strong pull.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
understand
could.
that. I get that.
Yeah.
I want you to take yourself in an imaginary last night or in an hour from now, 2 hours, just put yourself in that position. You're getting ready to, and then you just stop. You're like, I'm not going to do it. What's that going to be like for you?
So what I can talk about is the dialogue. So there's many times when, you know, the way this typically goes is my brain will have the thought, and often I'll be like, I don't want to do that. I'll engage with the thoughts, which is maybe part of the problem. But then there would be this like back and forth dialogue, basically between my brain, which is kind of saying, no, we should do that, or we'll find different ways. And ultimately, I know if I engage with the thought too much, that lizard brain will ultimately win, or has a very good chance of winning.
Okay.
Um,
So is it impossible for you and then look, this is a
yeah,
group setting and I get it, right? We're going to do the best we can and there's no failing here because I think when I share mine with you guys, you'll have a better like understanding of this. Is it hard or near impossible for you now to tell me if you just went to do it, you had all the dialogue, you had the voices, and then boom, you just stop and you didn't do it? What would ensue? What would happen?
I didn't do it.
Yeah, and even if you want to just take a guess at what you think would happen, what would that be like for you? And if anyone else can answer this,
Yeah, please jump in. Please jump in. Yeah, because
Well, I mean, I feel
yeah,
like for me, you know, it's like you started running and then you just like stop, and now I'm gonna go walk home. Like I started something. Why couldn't I finish it? A very very big feeling of like unfinished something. So I don't know what happens to me. What would happen to me? I mean, I would probably not necessarily feel successful. I feel like there's unfinished business out there because like if I was going to do it and then stop,
yeah. That
like,
I can relate to that. Like there's been situations where my brain is planning to watch porn, and then something stops me from watching porn, but that part of me still wants to. Like I don't know,
it's
my wife comes
strong
home.
related.
What
Yeah,
what is a thought that triggers? You said you had a thought. What's a thought that triggers it?
that triggers the initial desire to watch
Hmm.
porn, or
Yeah.
so there's all sorts of events that can result in the thoughts. The thought is typically Um, it's typically, yeah, we should do this, we could do this. It might think of a particular scene or something to tempt me to watch. What I'm often seeking is is a high. It's sexual stimulation, it's excitement, it's novelty. And I know what I'm doing a lot of the time. I'm probably trying to escape from something.
There you
Or
go. Uh-huh. That's what
yes,
we're getting closer now. So escape from what?
oh, this is the really hard stuff that I just feel so disconnected from. But I know I'm running from something, or I know that I'm trying to not feel or connect with something, but it's really hard for me to know what that is. It feels like it's really repressed. I
For
don't
me,
know.
I feel like I can. It, your description, Chris, kind of brought me closer to my realization. Is like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm running from connecting with myself. You know, like for me, it's usually
Yes.
when I'm alone or
Yes.
when I have that feeling of like totally there's no one around, nobody's gonna bother me. Like
Yeah.
now's that time. So like in other words, like that could be like my most healthy time, and through this process, like it has been. Um, but you know, in the past, like that's the time when I run towards that high the most.
Yeah.
It's like it's a complete escape from being alone with myself.
Yeah,
So
this is great. This is
no,
great. This is great, guys. Now we're getting somewhere here. So, Chris, I want you to think about that little 6-year-old, your 6-year-old self, and I want you to think about your mom and the
yeah.
things that she said and did to you. What do you think that little 6-year-old boy is telling him about himself?
Oh man, I'm not worthy of love.
And who's not worthy of love? Like
I'm
what kind of
I'm not worthy of love.
yeah, right. But what kind of human being generally is not worthy of love?
Um, you know, a human being who, well, in this instance, who, oh, fuck, what is it? What kind of human being is not worthy of love? I mean, in some degree, it's a human being who can't make his mother happy, I'm sure. I also, this is with my dad as well. My dad was a workaholic, was never around, could not, but based on his childhood and his relationship with his father, no emotional connection. And so no desire from my father to connect emotionally with me, to spend time with me. And for my mother, it was all about her needs above everyone else's. And
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chris, a kid who's not, we've got so
please,
much to cover. You guys are doing awesome. I'm going to short circuit this a little bit to help you guys. So a kid who's not worthy of love isn't a high self-esteem, great kid. The kid is like thinking, if my mom and dad don't
yeah,
love me,
low value.
they're my providers. There's got to be something wrong with me.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. So those people are supposed to love you unconditionally more than anyone else. And so if they don't, what does that mean?
Right. So could it be in running from connecting with myself, when you connected with yourself, what happened to yourself? In Chris, in your case, when you were authentic and you connected with yourself, your mom told you you were no good, right? So
Totally.
you had to
Ah,
disconnect. We're all the source of all of our
ah,
issues and the lack of self-love is a disconnection from yourself, because you've got to disconnect from the pain. You can't sit there. So as you're getting ready to watch porn, could it be that it will distract me from the thinking of this? I'm not worthy. I'm no good. I'm not. Even the people that are supposed to love me unconditionally can't.
Yeah, like I don't deserve to invest in myself or something.
Yeah, I don't deserve. I don't. Yeah, I don't deserve.
It's a ton of
I mean,
shame associated with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it burns. And you think, great, I don't want to feel that sort of pain. I don't want to feel like I'm going to be a failure. And there's pain
Yes,
associated with that.
yes,
Or I've got responsibility and I'm probably going to fail that too.
yes.
Or I'm just super alone and I hate how that feels too. They're all just like different elements of pain. And then so the porn is just this super
yeah.
effective numbing
It's also like a
substance.
punishment to yourself as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
like
like constantly
you know it's
constantly
taking
punishing myself.
yeah.
that's right.
Punishes myself because I deserve it, like mom
Yeah.
said, right?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
there's a part of me that it keeps on going back there, and I'm sure it's going back there to relive some pain, or
Yeah.
like it's so painful, the act of like watching porn and what that does to you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So guys, look, we're making some serious progress here. What does so the left side, what usually happens when you say to someone, what would happen if you give up your anxiety on stage? You're like, oh, I get up there and I talk really great and I'd be the superstar of the talk and I'd feel so good about myself. That's what that usually happens. You guys didn't do that, which is great. And then we go, okay, but that's not why you keep doing it. It's doing something for you. What do you think the challenge is doing for you? Look, who was it? Eric. Eric, we could have, if I could have typed fast enough, I could have put exactly what he said. I tried to, I did my best. Keeps me from feeling super alone and disconnected. Punishes myself that I deserve. Keeps me from thinking that I was a piece of shit, that dad worked all the time, wouldn't connect with me. That's what it's doing. And that's why I say it's not your fault. But now you have an awareness, and Frank is like one of the best on the planet at this. This is almost like I'm not intimately familiar with Frank's program. You guys have probably
Yeah.
done some of this shit. But what I want you guys to get is that give up the shame, because your mind is doing what exactly it's supposed to do. Your subconscious mind is supposed to keep you alive. It doesn't give a shit if you're happy or sad. It just wants to keep you alive. If you're alone and disconnected, and your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between you as a 6-year-old or yourself as 60 years old,
Yeah.
it's gonna keep you there thinking that you've got to survive. So now let's take this a step further. Tell me about a time when you experienced not needing to use porn, but you didn't feel super disconnected or you needed to punish yourself. And look, we're not going to go into all this. Think about a time when your wife, someone loved you unconditionally, put their arms around you. That's the moment where your brain starts saying, holy shit, none of this shit's true. We cannot suffer if we live in the truth. You guys are all suffering because this underlying untruth is pushing this negative behavior. None of you deserve any, like, Chris, this had nothing to do with you. This had to do with your wounded mother and father. They were actually trying to do the best they could. So, so that's what everyone now can do. So let's any questions on that before we move forward? I'm going to share with you a different example so you can even more solidify this.
I got a question.
Sure.
So it's just something that came to my mind is in the same way that this almost limits, or sorry, like leads to failure in a way, you know, almost identity driven. I feel like maybe in a similar way, it also dampers success, where like when, like I feel like when I am doing well, I'm almost like I can't be doing well because this, that, the other thing, and it almost like leads me into that crash landing, even when I'm doing all the right stuff and I'm like, you know, like making those good decisions, because I feel like these underlying thoughts are still kind of defining my mindset.
Yeah, that's called self-sabotage. That's part of the reason I lost $9 million trying to chase my worthiness. Other people literally will make $1 million and then go piss it away because their brain's saying, dude, you don't deserve any of this shit. And they just blow it. They blow it. So
Lottery
thank you
winners.
yeah, 75% of lottery winners go bankrupt. It's really, really sad. Most lottery winners 3 or 4 or 5 years after are in worse shape than they are before they won it.
Yep.
So here's here's the limiting beliefs lie detector. So if I get what I want, then a bad thing will happen. So I do what I want at the moment, even though I want the thing I want, because anything, what you put up with or sacrifice, is better than the bad thing. The truth now as I see it, the mismatch between what you believe to be true and what is actually true. This is my example, guys. I grew up in a house where money was a huge, huge issue. They were always fighting about money. So if I get what I want, I don't want to have anxiety about money. I have plenty of money and I still have anxiety. I've gotten way better over the last 3 years, but it still kind of haunts me in certain ways. I've got plenty of money, but yet a year ago, trying to order Uber Eats when my son and his girlfriend were here, I actually had anxiety about ordering Uber Eats. I could order Uber Eats for the whole city just about and not have a problem. Why? Because again, it was my survival. So if I don't have anxiety about money, then the bad thing will happen. I will lose it and be homeless. So I do what I do at the moment. I remain anxious about spending money, even though I want to never be attached or worry about money, because anything, the anxiety around the money, the tightness in my chest, the arguments in my relationships, which have been my whole life about money, is better than losing it all and being homeless. But what's the truth as I now see it? The universe and God have always provided me with the money that I need to, and will continue to do so. So you guys take a picture of this. I think on the next slide, I got a blank one. So this is a blank one. Take a picture of this. This is the same. So Chris, you still with us, Chris, or Jason? Doesn't matter. So if I get what I want, stop porn, right? I don't want to ever watch porn again. Then the bad thing will happen. I will have to face the fact that I am disconnected, or I am no good, or I am not lovable. So I keep doing porn, even though I want to be connected with other people and myself, because anything is better than feeling unloved and unworthy and despicable. But what's the truth as you now see it? The truth is there's no one in this world that at their core, their essence is pure. Someone said Jesus and Hitler were born the same way, same human being. It's just one decided to go one direction and the other decided to go in the other direction. But at their core, no baby. Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't born Jeffrey Dahmer. Why was Jeffrey Dahmer Jeffrey Dahmer? Because no one ever touched him for 18 years. Like, he had the worst trauma, and it doesn't make it right what he does. I'm not saying that. But there's a reason why we all do the things that we do. And it's just ourselves trying to protect ourselves. But now that you guys have this, you have this tool and you understand, holy shit, this was never about me. There's nothing bad you can say about yourself. You may have done things you don't like, but there was a reason that you did the things you didn't like. Does anyone feel a little lighter in their chest? This isn't just porn, guys. This is shutting down with your spouse. This is yelling at your kids. This is drinking too much. This is depression. This is anxiety. It's why our prisons are full. It's why our hospitals are full. It's why 60% of America has a weight problem. It's all the same thing. That's why I get so passionate about this. You don't need to go to 30 years of therapy. You don't need to go see a psychiatrist and get on freaking drug after drug after drug. You just have to do the work. You've got to get into the subconscious mind and figure out what is that untruth. And we just started to unearth it. It's going to be a similar story for everybody. It's going to be. You're hiding from something that you think is worse, but it doesn't even exist anymore. It happened when you were 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're still that little boy locked in an adult's body thinking that I need safety. And guess what? You provide your own safety. You get to give yourself everything you didn't get as a child right now. And it doesn't matter if you're 27, 67, or 97. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Realize, Bruce, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just said thank you. It's good to hear something like that. I've heard stuff like this before, but this is going a little bit deeper, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. So Bruce Lipton, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's quite an amazing gentleman. 95% of your life is coming from the programs of life, how to live life that's stored in the subconscious. So the simple reality is this: when you were young, you were open to downloading a lot of information, and then you become more conscious after age 6. But the fundamental behaviors, the fundamental programs, how you live your life is already downloaded. And why is it relevant? Because most of these programs are negative, disempowering, and self-sabotaging, and we play them 95% of the day. 95% of our behavior, the porn, the kicking the dog, the drinking the wine, the eating too much, is driven by our subconscious mind. But you go to therapists and they want to talk about, you got anxiety, let's give you some breathing exercises to do. No, that shit doesn't work. I went to 60 different marriage counseling sessions. Oh, let's hold hands. Let's repeat back what she says. Let's take her on more date nights. None of that shit works when you're fighting for your connection, or, you think you're a piece of shit because your dad never did anything with you, or, in my case, hit me with a belt and made fun of me. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's why we're in the situation that we're all in this like mental health crisis that we're in this world. It's because the symptom doesn't work. We got to go to the root cause. Just like if you have a back pain, doing surgery, you're going to be back in 6 months on the operating table if you don't figure out what caused it in the first place.
Yeah, well, I guess for me, the issue gets a little bit more complicated when you arguably feel like you had pretty good parents.
Yep.
I don't feel like I was, necessarily abused in any way by my parents. I mean, no more than any kid gets like some neglect when you come from a big family like me. But what's the driving factor there? Or is it just me not, like giving it the credit that it deserves?
That every time. Of the 100 clients I've dealt with, maybe 5 of them, maybe 10 of them, when I ask that question, what was your childhood like? Oh, it was great. That's what most of them say. And I go, but you wouldn't be coming to me with depression or addiction if you had that. So let's talk a little bit. And it usually comes out in 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. You already gave me a little bit of peace. I was in a huge family. Look, you don't need to be locked in a cage, be sexually molested, be beat, whatever. There's things called little T trauma, little trauma, and big T trauma. Big T trauma is you're locked in a cage, you're sexually molested. Little T trauma is your sister comes home from being born and you think your parents love her more. This is a perfect, I'm so glad you brought this up, but this slide I have up, it isn't the experiences we have so much that impact the meaning you give it. It isn't the experiences we have so much that impact you, but the meaning you give to those experiences. The meaning you have been giving your experiences is not your fault. You did it as a child, and you're still doing it today. Let's just see experiences for as they are. You don't need to put meaning in there. You're putting meaning in there because you're trying to survive. When you're arguing with your wife, your whoever, your business partner, it has nothing to do with the actual argument at hand. Nothing to do, because your wife could say something to you that would piss you off. If she said it to me, I may be like, okay, she's really hurt to say that. I'm going to try to talk to her about why she's hurt. I'm not bringing a meaning, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm just giving you an example. So the short answer, Jason, is that if we spent a couple minutes, there's something there where you would start to understand that all your needs weren't met. And that's not to blame your parents at all. They were doing the absolute best they could do.
Could I add something real quick too? Or
Yeah, man, sure.
just because Jason, I'm related to you here. I also, my parents were pretty loving, and I had I'm from a big family. But if you spend enough time digging into this, you could probably think of some specific examples. But I can remember times with my parents, my older brother who was bigger and stronger than me, friends who were, say, more athletic, teachers that intimidated me. There's a whole mix of all these people that were in your life that you cared about, and they cared about you, but there were times where you felt like you let them down or disappointed them, and they came at you in a way that was kind of freaked you out or made you feel smaller. And you put all those into this one box, and it's just a huge collection of things that just kind of stayed with you. That's what's happened for me, I think. But I don't know if that helps.
I mean, that was beautiful, Eric. I mean, you hit it on the head. Absolutely fantastic what you just said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hope it helps.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I guess, well, I guess the tail end of this is finding out how to open that box, I guess.
Yeah, and so what we've done so many times is you're in a deeply relaxed state, and I basically say, hey, Jason, I'm going to bring you back. We're going to go back to a time, a place, an event that had all to do with why you have this porn addiction. And in this deep trance, you're going to be like, oh shit, dad didn't show up to my game, or mom did this, or the school teacher did this, or I got bullied here. And then we're going to talk about that meaning, and then we're going to show your beautiful brain that no longer, that was a meaning you came up with to get you through that bad time, but it really didn't define who you are. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, like you have this issue in your life, this porn addiction, right? This underlying thing, do you think that's all it's affecting is this porn addiction? No chance, right? When you figure it out, you're going to see everything in your life. So the work that Frank does with you, I mean, you've probably already seen it. Like relationships get better. I've got this right up here, right? Conflict can bring you closer than further apart. In my marriages, my two marriages, conflict would go like this. It would be terrible. 3 days of just, she would come to me, I would turn it against her, and then I would flee. I'd literally like be distant and cold for 3 days. Now in my relationship, conflict, we had 2 days we had the most conflict we've ever had this weekend, and I'm closer than I've ever been to Yvonne now, because I'm not sitting here saying I'm going to die and I'm a piece of shit and I'm not lovable. I know I'm lovable, and I know I've got past pains. And when you past trauma is going to rear its head most in your intimate relationships, but it's the best place on the planet to heal if you've got another person that's willing to work with you. So if you have relationship problems, they're never, ever, ever, ever about the actual relationship. It's about the relationship each of you have with yourselves. That's it. That connection, that there's a broken connection. You had to break that connection to protect yourself as a child. Does everyone get that? Again, told mom, I hate her. Shit, that was my real self saying that. I didn't really mean it, but maybe I did. So I can't be that self. So I'm going to disconnect because this is really, really, really painful.
That's totally true. I remember being afraid of people making fun of me for liking video games when I was a kid, because a few people had, like, in my family. And so I like kept that as like this secret hobby, even though I knew like my friends liked them and stuff too. It was like I was afraid to talk about them just at school or something, or with people that I hadn't met yet. I had to make sure I could trust them before I could say I loved video games. Just as a kid, that was like a thought process.
Yeah,
Have
or
you
even like particular video games. You
Yes,
know,
specific ones too, you know.
you're like, I don't know if this one's like the right topic. I don't know if I can bring that one up, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I still like Mario when I'm like, in high school. Is that bad?
Yeah, like
Have you ever made the correlation between video games and porn?
yeah, I
What-
mean that was
Go
like the
ahead.
biggest
Yeah.
gateway in these last few months, year. So it's like video games kind of went away entirely and was completely replaced by porn. And I feel like I really lost like something that I enjoyed because I gave it away completely to porn.
So Eric, in your case though, you said something really interesting. I used to be afraid to tell people and I was embarrassed. I'm guessing that's the same way with porn. You don't go around telling everyone, "Hey, I'm Eric and I watch a lot of porn," right? You see how what our
Yeah.
subconscious mind is to keep us alive, right? So if you were beaten as a kid, you often get into to relationships where you get beaten as an adult because it's safe. It's what you knew. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad or great for you. So maybe there's a pattern that you've recreated there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And like I went through the program with Frank, and it's been a lot easier to share with people close to me about the addiction. And it's absolutely liberating when you get like a supportive response from them. And you feel like you actually are closer to that person after sharing something so vulnerable.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yes. Yeah. A former girlfriend and I were talking, and she has been completely vulnerable with her new partner. And I said, yes, it is. She's like, it's so incredible when someone holds space for you and you can tell them your deepest thoughts. It is just so healing. So a couple things I want to get to, guys. This has been amazing. I hope you're liking it. So Gandhi, our man Gandhi here. Carefully watch your thoughts, for they become your words. Manage and watch your words, for they become your actions. Consider and judge your actions, for they become your habits. Acknowledge and watch your habits, for they shall become your values. Understand and embrace your values, for they become your destiny. What's the one thing that starts all of this? What starts all of this? Your thoughts, right? So here's a thought always creates an action. Starts with a feeling that starts with a thought. So the thought is, I'm not good enough. It makes me feel like shit. So I go smoke weed. In your case, you go watch porn, right? Um, this loop also affects other people. So don't just think this you're stuck over here. There's another loop over here. What usually happens is the actions affect other people. I'm going to make this up. You don't want to be intimate with your wife, and so then her thought is, oh, he doesn't love me. So she feels like she goes drinks a bunch of wine. So this is like a compounding thing, right? So what I want you guys to do, I'm going to give you some tools, is curiosity over judgment. Stop judging yourself, right? Instead of that's crazy or that's weird, choose that's interesting or I wonder why. Our buddy old Al said, I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. Get curious about everything you do. Why am I doing this tonight? Why did I promise Frank I would not do this for 2 nights and I'm doing it? Why am I not eating right? Why am I, when my wife says something, why am I shutting down? I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to give you the tool, but my life my goal in my life is to be unshakable. I want to be, I think true liberation is that no, and Larry said this to me, the night before. He's the ex-Navy SEAL that helped me. He said this the night before I went through my thing, and I literally thought this guy's crazy. And here I am 3.5 years later, I'm getting closer and closer. He goes, I want to get to a place in my life where no person or situation can negatively impact me. And I'm like, that guy's an idiot. And now I'm like, shit, I strive for that every day. And I'm getting closer and closer and closer. And when you do this type of work, you can do the same thing. So here's a tool called the Joy Regenerator. Put your energy into what you want, not what you don't want. So when you feel a negative emotion, when you go to use porn, there's likely, if you were to sit with it for a second and not just go right to it, not go to the wine, not go to the shopping, not go to the gaming, just be like, okay, I'm triggered to go watch porn. I'm just going to sit here. It can wait a half an hour. It can wait 2 hours. Shit, it can wait 24 hours. But I want to sit here. And if I feel a negative emotion, I am in a fight or flight. If I'm in fight or flight, I am not in the present moment. I'm thinking about the past or I'm worried about the future. So let's get you in a present moment. Let's pause and breathe a couple times, deep breaths, and then identify the emotion. What are you feeling? When you do that, you force your prefrontal cortex to actually think. So you go from your amygdala, your fight or flight brain, it's like a hack. You're taking yourself out of flight. I feel unworthy. I feel sad. That's the 6-year-old inside of you, not the 34, not the 45, not the 60-year-old person. So know that that's a little 6-year-old boy saying, I feel really sad and unloved. So give yourself the compassion that you didn't likely get as a child and say, it's okay, Eric, that you're feeling sad or lonely. I'm right here with you. I got you, brother. You don't need to feel lonely. You don't need to go to turn to porn, wine, whatever it is, right? So now you're going to identify the root cause. Well, we can't do that in an hour for everyone, right? That's kind of what we do. We help you get to the root cause. But we've already uncovered some of these root causes. Your dad's never around. Your mom is constantly shitting on you, saying how you're wrong all the time. So and as you're doing this, what are 3 things that you're grateful for? I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have a phone that I can even afford. I'm grateful that I can see. There's 1,000 things living in the United States. Being grateful helps kick it out. Now, what's the original thought? Remember this screen right here? What was the original thought? In my case, and anytime I feel a negative emotion, my thought is, I am not enough. So I ask myself, is it true? Of course it's not true. It's the opposite. I am enough. So why am I going to feel sad based on an emotion that's not even true? So boom, I kick back into joy. So how could you use this in your relationships? Is, hey, Sally, what you just said made me feel whatever the emotion is, sad. It's not your fault, but can we speak about it so that I can heal and we can become better connected? Do you think that's different from what I used to say with my ex-wives? When they come to me, I'd be like, you just did this and this and this, and last week you did this, this, and this, and forget it, and walk out. In like 3 days, we'd be in a fight. Now this is what I do with Yvonne, and that's what's bringing us closer together. Couple things and we're done, guys, and then I'll open up for questions. Call for love or show of love. Everything that a human being does, it's one of two things. They're either calling for love or showing for love. When someone cuts you off in traffic and they flick you off, are they showing you love? No, 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 no. They're calling for love. They're hurt. As a human being, you get to respond to in one or two ways. You get to respond in love, or you get to respond in fear/ego. The more that you choose to respond in love to yourself and to others, the more happy and the more joyful that you'll be. So next time someone comes at you or does anything, just ask yourself, are they a child, your spouse, a business person you work with? Are they calling for love or are they showing me love? If they're calling for love, they're freaking hurt. Responding in fear and ego is just going to escalate things. You can still respond into love even though someone is yelling at you. So the more that you respond, ask yourself, what are they at? Are they calling for love or showing for love? Then ask yourself, how am I going to respond? Then when you respond, say, how did I respond? And if you ever have any question, it's 100% in fear and ego, because you are always going to know when you respond in love. Respond in love as much as you can. Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. This whole group, Frank, me, the addiction that you have, guys, it's all happening for you, because on the other side of it is so much better. And there's so many people that don't have Frank in their lives, don't have me in their lives, that are going to struggle. It's going to get worse and worse. It's going to ruin relationships. But you don't have to be that person anymore. You can get to the other side with the tools that Frank has given you, the tools that I've shared with you tonight. And when you're on the other side, think about all the freaking help. So maybe our souls picked our traumas so that we could go through this, so that we could help countless other people. That's how I look at my trauma. Getting spanked, made fun of, living in a house that was constantly fighting. I wouldn't change it for the world, because I wouldn't be sitting here now with goosebumps going down my head saying this stuff, knowing that you guys, your lives are about to change forever if you continue to walk, side by side with Frank. So that's how I live my life every day. Every single day, crazy shit happens to me. And it's for me. I'm going to give you one example, because every day I go to a property closing today. I haven't showed up for one in a long time because I have a company that runs without me, but I did one outside the company. I show up, I'm like, I don't have my freaking reading glasses. This is going to be, because I can't see very well close up. So I look all over the car. They're not there. I get out. I shut my door. I go to lock it. It goes beep, 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 means the keys are in there. So I'm like, oh, my keys are in my gym bag. I just came from playing pickleball. I reach into the side of my gym bag. Out, I pull my glasses and I start laughing. I'm like, this shit happens to me all the time. It's just how I look at life. You get a flat tire, so you can't play golf. Okay, well, what if you'd put out of the neighborhood and a tractor trailer had hit you and killed you? You don't know that. So just live your life as if everything happens for you. This is a little gift for you guys. It's a page that has a lot of cool resources. It's got the Joy Regenerator. You already took the quiz. It's got some cool meditations. Take a picture of it, scan it, whatever you want. Questions, thoughts, comments, concerns?
Brad, I just want to jump in, and that was absolutely incredible. We'll obviously open it up for any questions that the guys have, but just so appreciative and grateful, and far beyond exceeded anything that I had in terms of, I don't think I had an expectation of what you're coming. I knew you were gonna crush it, because we've obviously spent some time already speaking, connecting, and I love your entire frame and all your talking points. But this was amazing. I got so many notes, and hopefully the guys got a lot of value out of this. But yeah, let's open up, guys. Any questions that anybody has here for Brad?
I don't have a question in mind at the moment, but just thank you for, like, the way you framed all this. It makes it very practical. Like, I actually believe that I can implement this stuff and make it work, rather than just have a bunch of cool ideas, feel inspired, then it goes away.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you can. The truth is you can. Every single person on this call can.
Mhm.
Yeah, it definitely gives me, I guess, some more perspective that there's more out there I need to be paying attention to. Like I'm looking at the problems that I'm overcoming as like, this obstacle that I need to get out of the way. But I think you're right that, well, I mean, scripture backs this for me too, but like the challenge is the window to, to the better you, to what's on the other side. Like you're supposed to go through that challenge. And it is motivating to hear that, to feel that. And yeah, I mean, it's far more than like some motivational video. It's like, hey, step into that next phase and start applying this. So thank you for your time, and thank you for what you do out there. Definitely be looking into that.
You're welcome. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, what did Jesus say? The truth shall set you free. We literally can't suffer if we live in the truth.
Mhm.
All of this untruth, that you're not worthy and you're not enough. It's all untrue. It was your parents or your teachers or whoever it was that made you feel that way. Nothing to do with you. You're an amazing human being.
Also,
If you read scripture, then God made you in his image. So if you don't believe that, you're basically saying, hey, dude, you don't know what the F you're talking about.
well, and he gives you dominion over snakes and scorpions. He puts them in your path. I think that really means that you're meant to walk on them, and that means that you're gonna get where you're going by stepping on those challenges, by being in those challenges. So that really backs what you've been saying for me, and I can apply that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Earl, Ike, you guys have been pretty quiet. Any thoughts running through those beautiful brains of yours?
Nothing,
Ike,
nothing here
Ike, you're
for me, but
muted.
yeah, I just really appreciate everything you shared, and yeah, a lot of good stuff to think about, and yeah, definitely resonates with a lot of stuff from my upbringing too, and so yeah, a lot to think about. So thanks for that.
And Brad, we're gonna have a lot of guys that catch this, maybe not live, but see it in a recording. Obviously, we got the screenshots here. We can take we can do the QR codes here, but the guys who are interested in learning more about you, the quiz from the beginning, unlock limitless you, and then best place to maybe connect with you online socially, or is it through the website is the best place?
Yeah, unlocklimitlessyou.com/Brad has all my social media platforms. I'm a phone call away. So
Awesome. There you go, guys. So connect with him. If you're catching this on the recording, tons of great stuff for all of you guys out there. Well, I appreciate everybody. We went a little bit over the hour. I appreciate you guys for sticking around. Chris, I know he had to jump, so we'll get the recording out to everybody.